Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to be making a guide, as I previously mentioned in my last video, about the Breath of Orbis, Heart of Orbis Sanctuary for EpicSeven. Let's get into it. So first things first, if you aren't familiar with what the Breath of Orbis is, or what I'm even referring to, when you unlock the Sanctuary, or very early on when you unlock the Sanctuary, you have a bunch of different stations here that are basically your daily check-ins, things that you do every day or kind of weekly, and they also provide some progression or some gear and things like that to kind of get you to the middle or end game. Now, these are also really helpful for early game, so don't sleep on that. However, I just wanted to talk about some of the upgrades that you should be focusing on or fixating on, and why or what the benefits of each station are. So I will first and foremost show you what my setup is. I have 233 for Forest of Souls. I have 333 for Heart of Orbis. I have 033 for Alchemist steeple. Apologies. I am 333 on Steel Workshop, and I'm 111 on High Command. Now let me explain. First and foremost, starting with Forest of Souls. So, of course, to be clear, the way that you get these Breath of Orbises is by doing things in the adventure. Sometimes they come as a drop. Sometimes it's something you have to buy in a shop. It kind of varies and it kind of depends. There are plenty of guides out there, though, for how exactly or where to get them. There might even be okay, literally this is where it is. All right, well, there you go. In any case, moving along, now that we have the location or where to find the Breath of Orbises, you may be wondering why I chose what I chose. Specifically for Forest of Souls, I decided to have 3 penguins when they are grown, just because once a day getting 3 free penguins, kind of nice. And also decreasing the amount of time that it takes to grow these penguins is pretty nice by 15%. And personally, I haven't really had the need to change or specifically summon 4 penguins. If you are someone that needs to summon penguins, I could definitely understand if you shift things around here. Receiving 1 additional or 1 less specific penguin is technically not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things. And if you are spam or max summoning for penguins here, having an increased chance to get experienced penguins or epic penguins could be really nice. So keep that in mind when you're upgrading the Forest of Souls. Mine personally right now is on 233 because I'm not really summoning anymore. You just get infinite penguins from doing unrecorded history right now. But moving along, the next thing that we have to talk about is the Heart of Orbis. And now the thing about the Heart of Orbis is that these are kind of non-negotiable. They increase your total free-to-play currency and also gold, and it's kind of all tied into each other. Like, they increase the amount that you can hold, how quickly you'll be able to reach max, and how much you actually get, or gives you an additional chance to, or like a 50-50 chance to increase how many rewards you get. It's a little bit of a gamble, but it is a nice like daily resource that gives you some premium currency, especially in a game like EpicSeven, where you need as many Skystones as possible to either Skystone refresh or pull for characters on banners. Now, moving along, we have the Alchemist steeple, and this is the one that probably a lot of people will not really get to understand, or really won't understand until later. And you're probably wondering what the Alchemist steeple is and why I have 033. Formerly, there were people that had somewhat upgraded or kind of thought about upgrading things like the Alchemy Academy and decreasing the cost of material conversions. But as of late, with how much gold you get from the game, and just in general how, I guess, the ratio of how frequently you're converting as opposed to how much gold you're saving, it feels like there are much better opportunities or better locations to use your additional 3 Heart of Orbises here. It doesn't really change that much. Again, you're reducing the gold for specifically conversions by 20%. And if it really made that big of a deal to you, something that I think, or I should suggest, I guess, according to, or at least for everything, including the Breath of Orbises, is that if you are about to change or about to do something special, like if I'm about to convert 7 quintillion things, resetting and then improving or investing into the Alchemy Academy could be something that you're doing, and it's something that you could also do for the Forest of Souls. If you want to reset or take away from something like the Breath of Orbis while you're just spam summoning for Stigma, that's also totally fine. But generally speaking, the Alchemy Academy, a lot of people don't really find that much use from it because 20% reduced gold for like 10 crafts, not that big a deal. Moving along, though, we have the laboratory, and these are really important. Now, this is arguably the most actual game-changing functionality that you gain from using your Breath of Orbises, and you could tell why. You gain access to not just charms, which you get initially, but you also gain access to crafting materials and equipments that you can, craft and, specifically craft from this, whether that's exclusive equipments or the charms, or doing converting your old like hunt materials into higher level hunt materials, which is not very popular anymore, to be fair. But then finally, at the max level of this station, you have access to catalyst, exclusive equipment, and modification gems. If you don't know what these are, don't worry, you soon will, because catalysts are a really big cornerstone of playing EpicSeven. Upgrading Awakenings or Molagoras all require catalysts. The exclusive equipments change the functionality of how your characters work. This is kind of a no-brainer. And of course, modification gems. If you're trying to get the perfect piece of gear, you need a little bit of crit chance, a little bit of extra crit chance. Getting the modification gems, really nice, very helpful, great. And finally, the last thing that we have that you may be confused about is the ingredient storage. And you're probably wondering, what does it mean by increased quality point? And to be completely honest, I'm not super familiar with the details as well, but from what I understand, this is what it means when you are trying to upgrade a piece of gear. Sometimes you really shouldn't be doing it, but there are some scenarios where you can upgrade a piece of gear, or if you're doing a conversion, you can end at heroic or a purple piece of gear instead of red. From what I could tell, this has to do something with that. If I'm not mistaken, it should decrease the amount of points that you need in general.
Host tile 9 is now following.
Thank you for the follow, hostile. And anyways, moving along, increasing the amount of quality points is really nice here. Long story short, you should definitely be investing in this because, again, you want better gear. And if that means that you have to spend a little bit less for your conversions, that may be the case. I haven't actually checked, but this is the only one that I'm kind of unsure about. I apologize, but it is worth investing into. The next thing that we should talk about is the Steel Workshop, and these are all pretty self-explanatory as well. Reducing the gold required for crafting and reforging by 30%. Unlike the conversion pieces that we talked about from the Alchemist steeple, you're going to be crafting like thousands, like hopefully not tens of thousands of pieces of gear, but thousands of gear likely throughout your time playing EpicSeven. And since that's the case, why not reduce the amount of gold that you need to not only craft it, but also to reforge it later, which is your inevitable late game. And then moving along, if you take a look at like how much you actually save, if it's not built, you don't save any, but 30% saved gold, that's a lot. That is a lot of gold. And a lot of people, especially early on, although I did say that gold is not so much of an issue, I didn't mean it so much so that no one has issues with gold. It's just that for specifically conversions, you may not break the bank doing that. However, if you don't have this extended workshop, if you don't increase or decrease the amount of gold that it costs to reforge and craft gear, you will go broke very easily, very quickly, in fact. And that's a fact. So upgrade the extended workshop, but moving along, we have pretty much like the self-explanatory Artisan's Furnace, which is that you want to increase the chance of you getting an epic or a rare piece of gear. Well, specifically epic, you don't want any rare or heroics, technically speaking, but your chance to receive rare goes down as you go up, which is good because you want specifically epic. Your chance of epic goes from 3% to 12% once you start crafting. This is really, really, really important. Again, if you want to just sit with purples and blues for the rest of your life, then by all means, but most of you guys probably want epic gear. Epic, referring to the red quality gear, of course, has a lot of benefits. It has an additional roll. You can't roll a 1 for speed. All of these things, really nice. Just in general, though, make sure to upgrade the Artisan's Furnace before you start crafting. Even beyond the Extend Workshop, sometimes you don't have a choice and you need a little bit of gear, but at least make the opportunity for you to get gear a little bit higher in quality or make your gear look a little bit better just in general. Moving along, though, the next thing we have is the Blacksmith's Dormitory. And honestly, this is just as important as the other. All of these are really important, which is why obviously the Steel Workshop is 333. But you don't want to spend something like 100 Wyvern materials to craft a piece of gear instead of 50, because that's how resource efficiency works. Yeah, do you get it? In any case, long story short, you don't want to spend as many resources in any regard, whether that's gold, Wyvern claws, banshee mats, whatever it is. All these things are really nice, and upgrading your Steel Workshop should not be your first priority at the start of the game, because I would argue that you do need things like, whether it's catalysts, or you want to get something like your Heart of Orbis, so you start getting more materials, or even the Forest of Souls. This is definitely not a priority compared to those, but the second that you start crafting for gear, you definitely want to be investing in this, whether you have to change out or like pivot and, you know, remove certain things from your Alchemist or from your Steel Workshop. That's totally fine. Technically speaking, and why I think you could find some value from this is that if you did want to remove all the points from your Steel Workshop and put it into something like the high command so you have better dailies, you could do that as well, because technically speaking, when it's not upgraded, things like the Steel Workshop and the Alchemist Steeple, they literally don't do anything for you. By comparison, every day, you are going to be clicking on your Heart of Orbis and your Forest of Souls. But speaking of high command, we do have to talk about this because this is arguably the most complex and kind of convoluted topic to talk about, because this is the dispatch mission equivalent to any gacha game that you've ever played in history. And you may be wondering, and I kind of previewed it in my last video, what the most worthwhile one to invest in is. And I already mentioned it. It is going to be the 2-hour, 1 energy cost upgrade, just for your total bang for your buck. That being said, though, if you see here, you do need certain levels of upgrades in order to gain the higher time and higher reward. These are, of course, nice, but, you know, in terms of, like, I guess being able to dispatch once every 12 hours. However, if you are like a min-max gamer, doing the 2-hour one is also fine. But if you want to even get access to the 12-hour one, you would literally have to upgrade the high command to 333 or to whatever three it would be. Ideally, you want to be doing the arena match, or for me personally, what I found is that I specifically like doing a combination of war and the hunt. I can never get enough of the ancient coins, and the PvP currency and the labyrinth coins specifically tie directly to your upgrading of charms. And if you aren't in the middle of a charm drought with how much crafting you're doing from the event, I envy you. However, for me personally, I like the idea of getting more ancient coins every day, every 2 hours, however, 4 hours, whatever it is. Between that and the war mission, though, I get a lot of resources, at least enough to either, you know, expend or to sustain me buying out the energy from PvP. All really nice, but that is the last thing that we have to talk about when it comes to the Sanctuary and the kind of total of Breath of Orbis, the Heart of Orbis, the Orbis experience. Well, let's call it that. In any case, though, guys, as you can see, you will not max all of them, so choose wisely for the ones that you want to upgrade. But you don't worry too hardly about. Don't worry too much about it, because you could always reset and move things around. But just keep in mind, again, if you want to move things before you have a big session in one specific steeple or in one specific building, feel free to do that. You can definitely reset and move things to Forest of Souls if you're about to, like me, probably use like 2.5 million stigma. Or if you're about to do, you know, or if you're about to AFK and you're not going to craft for, like, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3 months, there is really no reason for you to, you know, have the Steel Workshop upgraded, or even, you know, well, specifically the Steel Workshop, honestly, because even the Alchemist Steeple you need once a week. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say, or this should be, hopefully, a pretty comprehensive guide on all of the Sanctuary activities and buildings. In any case, thank you again for watching, everybody. I appreciate everyone that has been supporting the content, enjoying, etc. Thanks again. I will catch you on the next one. Make sure to check out the rest of my socials. Make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe. I'm still live for the subathon, guys. As you can tell, I'm just getting to posting. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next time, or I'll see you all on the next time. I'll see you all next time. Good night, good morning, good afternoon. Bye bye.